Hi, I'm David Brednick with the Brednick Fish Team. Today we're going to do part 2 of our inshore bait series video. Today we're going to talk about the fishes, basically pinfish, threadfins, mullet, pilchards, and ladyfish. 5 main inshore baits that are fish, not crustaceans. The previous video we covered crustaceans as part 1. That was the first video of the bait series. This is the second video. We're going to cover the topic of bait for the next little while on this channel. Talk about cast nets, rods, pretty much everything you need to know about bait chumming, bait storage, bait inshore, near shore, offshore, beach, pier, surf, pretty much all the same thing. So today we're going to start talking with pinfish and threadfins and pilchards, because you can pretty much catch these all the same area anywhere. They're not hard to catch. The 2 main ways to catch them is either cast net or a sabiki. Now, you could also, for pinfish, you could use a pinfish trap. You could put it out on a grass flat with a chum block inside of it or something meaty. That way the pinfish will just come in and you'll get like 40 or 50 of them, 20 or 30. You'll get enough pinfish for the day most likely. Or if you have your own dock, you can just put it out the night before and you'll catch plenty of pinfish like that too. So now let's talk about where to find these baits. So you can find all these baits on a grass flat, mangrove areas, and docks. Also bridges too, but bridges I prefer to use to catch pilchards and threadfins, because behind the pillars where there's a break in the current is a really good area to target those pilchards and threadfins, because that's where they school up because there's not much current, and then that just is always a great go-to place to catch bait. Normally when I'm doing that, I'll cast net them, I'll sabiki them too. I'll use a 1 or 2 ounce weight on a sabiki. These are sabikis I use. You can also use these sabikis on a grass flat or around docks or mangrove areas to catch pinfish or pilchards and threadfins, whatever you prefer. You will catch all 3 of them on these, so that's what's really nice. You can have a variety of baits, so if one's not working, you can always switch to the other. So this one is cheaper, it's not as strong, but it still works really good, it's very productive. This is a little bit more expensive, it's a little bit higher quality, and it's very productive too, but it's just more expensive. Okay? And for those, you would want to use a 1 or 2 ounce weight. So if you want to target them on a grass flat, I would recommend chumming. Just throw some chum out. They'll congregate in a school for pilchards and threadfins. You can get them. Even pinfish too. Pinfish come up with the chum slick. And also when you chum, you could also sabiki too. So when you're chumming, getting ready to throw a cast net, you could sabiki them up too. That way, if you might only have to throw 1 cast net, or instead of 2 or 3, to fill up your live well. So that's a great way. Or you could just go and sabiki them if you don't feel like cast netting, getting all wet and dirty. That's a great way to do it. Or you can target docks, and with docks, you could just go pitch a sabiki under them, cast net, pretty much anything like that. For mangrove, I wouldn't recommend chumming around docks because you're around other people's docks, and that dock might not be productive, because if you know which docks you're going to, it can be, your day can be a lot easier. And also, if docks hold bait, very likely you're going to hold those big game fish that you're going after. So also another area is mangrove areas. You could chum there, and then you could cast net or throw sabikis. Do whatever you'd like. Your preferred method to catch bait. Cast netting and sabiki are both 2 very productive ways to catch bait. And then pinfish, pilchards, and threadfins will catch snook, trout, flounder, redfish, tarpon, sometimes black drum, and rarely sheepheads. With these, I prefer to use, like if I'm going after flounder and my baits are 2 or 3 inches, I prefer to use these D&B Sheepshead rigs. Or if I'm anchoring up to a place, or normally I would just throw, like if you throw a power pole down or whatever, anchor, or if you're just whatever, put the trolling motor down, use these like if you're sitting still or if you're going up next to a bridge to catch those fish. Because with these are very good rigs, they're very productive. There is 10 packs, 2 per pack, so 20 total rigs for 1 price with free shipping. I'll have those linked down below in the description. This D&B, pretty much anything D&B, is super good. So this is probably one of the best, in my opinion, fishing tackle companies in the world. Again, that's my opinion. Just because these rigs are so stealthy and strong. So go ahead and check them out. I'll have them linked below in the description. And then also, if you're in deeper water, if you're drifting, or you can cast these under docks, a D&B Chicken rig, high-low rig, double drop rig, there's several names to call it, whatever you want to call it, comes with a 2-ounce weight. There's 10 of them for one price with free shipping, and they're individually packaged. These come in packages of 2, but what's nice about these is that they don't get in a knot. Those don't get in a knot either, but like if you were to just have all these outside in your tackle box, they'd probably get tangled up. So when they come individually packaged like this, open them up, take them out, and then you're good. You can just tie them on. And then if you want to change the weight on this, you can. You just, because it has a snap swivel on the end, just change it. Right now it comes with a 2-ounce weight, so that's really good. I'll have that link below in the description too. And then also for these baits, this is also good. I'll bring this up later in the video along with the chicken rig. There is a 4 for $9.99 going on right now plus shipping. So check these out. These are spinner baits. They are not a bad price. They're actually a pretty good deal. So I consider it a steal. And I'll have that link below in the description too. And these, I would put no bait bigger than 5 inches on, and I could just cast these under docks or wherever, bridges, wherever you're fishing. These work really good. These absolutely crush fish. Sometimes I would just won't even use, I won't free line baits. I'll just throw these out with the fish on the end here. And then these will absolutely wreck the fish because I think this adds a little bit more flash and all, and it entices a bite on a fish. So now let's talk about ladyfish, and then we'll talk about mullet. So ladyfish are really easy to catch. You can throw lures for them. You could use this to catch ladyfish too. I often do use this to catch ladyfish. You could use all kinds of lures. You could use shrimp. You could use those pilchards, threadfins, pinfish. Those work. But for ladyfish, you're normally using them to target tarpon. You could target snook and redfish, but most people use mullet for those. So those would work really good to catch ladyfish for tarpon. And what you'd want to do is you could stinger rig them. You could use a D&B Kingfish rig and use that, or you could just create your own all fluorocarbon rig and just use those for tarpon. I'm talking about bigger tarpon. Now smaller tarpon you could catch on pinfish and stuff like that. You could even catch smaller tarpon on this lure. I have a friend that did it. I don't really tarpon fish that much, but whenever I do it, I'm very successful at it because I know what I'm doing. And mainly because I use those ladyfish too, and also mullet too work really good. And also crabs work good too for them. So ladyfish can be caught on grass flats, around docks, around bridges. I know for kingfish I like to use ladyfish a lot. What some pros will do is that they'll go to bridge lights and they'll throw a bigger cast net, like a 10 or 12 foot cast net, sometimes an 8 foot, and they'll have like a 3/8 inch mast, sometimes even a 1 inch. I prefer 3/8 inch mast and a heavy cast net, and they'll get those ladyfish in a cast net at night around bridges, bridge lights at night. So that's a great way to catch them. You can catch them on sabikis too. If you want to use sabikis, don't buy the bigger ones. I feel like these smaller ones are more productive for ladyfish. So these could really catch anything that you want for bait besides a mullet, because the only way to catch those is with a cast net. But ladyfish are found pretty much everywhere too. And now let's move on to mullet. Mullet are also a fish I like to eat because they taste really good. They're good smoked. I like mullet egg fried. That's really good. And mullet, you gotta use a cast net. And the smaller mullet work good for flounder, redfish, snook, sea trout, a lot of fish, grouper and snapper too. In the summertime I'll use mullet. Also pinfish, pilchards, and threadfins. Mangrove snapper around structure are very common to catch in the summertime, along with groupers sometimes too once in a while. Not normally in the summertime because grouper will go farther offshore, but in winter months it is not uncommon to catch grouper around docks inshore. So mullet, if you want to just target bigger mullet, use a 1 inch mesh. If you want to be able to get those finger mullet too, which is my preferred inshore bait, unless I'm going after tarpon. If I go after tarpon, I want a big mullet, like big tarpon. But those little finger mullet work good for flounder, tarpon, redfish, snook, and sea trout. So that's a really good thing to use. And then for the smaller finger mullet that are 3 or 4 inches long, I use these D&B Sheepshead rigs for flounder, like when I'm anchored up or wherever over a sandbar. I'll use these for that, and these also work really good for around docks, like if you are sitting right next to a dock, or if you decide to anchor around a dock or whatever, put a power pole in if it's a shallow water dock, or put spot lock on your trolling motor. That's a good idea. You want to use this when you're sitting still because it's a knocker rig, and that's why it's really effective, because it lets your bait move very naturally. And also for those littler mullet, you can use these too. I wouldn't recommend using a bigger than 5-inch mullet, but this works really good. Just hook it through the lips, or also if you have dead baits, you could hook them through the lips and you could cast these out under docks, and that's really what I normally prefer to use for these, because it's just so great. And you don't have to worry about catching bait. Like if you catch an overabundance of bait one day, put them in the freezer and you can use these. So that's another trick you could do with mullet. You could use a big circle hook and you could free line them, catch big snook or redfish with them, and tarpon. But I normally prefer littler mullet because I like to go after flounder, and I like to be able to target pretty much everything, and I use these D&B Sheepshead rigs. There's also many other rigs you could use. It's not the only rig, but if you're not making your own rig, I recommend this rig highly, okay? This is the only brand I buy pre-made rigs from, just because they're so good and stealthy and strong. Because in my opinion, again, they are the best rigs in the world in my opinion. So I'll have that linked below again. I'll have the 4 for $9.99 linked below in the description. And then also, I'll have this link below. If you have 2 smaller finger mullet and you're fishing structure inshore, this is a great idea to use because you can use 2 baits at once. And sometimes you'll catch 2 fish at once too, which is like a bonus. It's great. So, that's pretty much it, guys. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, that way you don't miss future videos. And give this video a thumbs up if it was helpful. And coming up next is probably going to be Pure and Surf. If you want a video on sheepshead, because I know some people fish sheepshead through Easter, and sheepshead for me are closing, or not really closing, but it's coming to an end because March I start targeting kingfish. So if you want a video on sheepshead, comment below. And then if there's anything that you have more questions on, comment below as well. Thanks for watching, guys, and until next time.